You've tuned in to the chipsgrooveradio podcast with hosts Mike and John. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the chipsgrooveradio podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and with me, of course, is John. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling funky. How about you?
Quite the same, sir. Coming off this soundtrack, it is a good, wild ride.
Yeah, it is.
I picked this one kind of off the cuff, and I had a very short relationship with this game. I just came across it a couple of years ago, so I do not have a personal history with it. But yeah, it is quite the piece. This ensemble. Sure. I don't know. It is composed by Yasuhito Saito, and he does not have too many credits to his name, but he seems to have stopped working in the mid-90s. Mid to late 90s, at least in this capacity. I don't know what he's doing now, but he's got about 14 credits that I could find.
Yeah, it seems like from this track, you would think that he would have a storied history in soundtracks, but I did see he had like a YouTube channel and some Instagram, so I think he's still cooking, but I don't know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, to get right to it, this album starts off really strong. Overall, there is a lot of what I would call a disco 80s pop fusion going on. I can really get behind this. This is when you listen to it, it is very pop oriented, and you can hear the songs as if a traditional artist were writing and singing these things. So it's very fun to listen to. For those of you who don't know about this game, I cannot blame you. It flew under my radar for, like I said, 36 years, and that radar included many entries of games like R-Type, Gradius, Darius, Ikaruga. So I know a good deal of shoot-'em-up games, and this one I had never heard of. And I think that has something to do with the fact that it premiered on the FM Towns, which, yeah, it's a Japanese personal computer, and I am pretty unfamiliar with that.
Yeah, I think it was before the PC era when MS-DOS was the preeminent OS, and pretty much it was Wild West for OSs. So yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I saw it ran Windows 3.1 up to Windows 95 or something. So
ooh,
high tech.
Mm-hmm.
It is indeed the first of 3 Rayxanber titles, and not to take shots, but I think the first one I watched a long play of it just to see how the music fit and felt. I think the game itself, while okay, does not deserve a soundtrack like this.
No, I was going to say that the actual gameplay is a lot more boring than the soundtrack is.
It's, for as far as space shooters go or shoot 'em ups, it's very basic, I would say.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of inspiration. Like you can see the R-Type influences, but at the same time, while the sprite work is pretty good, it's not, overall the game is just kind of stale, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that says something about the soundtrack because, when you say it's too good for the game that it accompanies, that means it's an exciting soundtrack, at least in some capacity.
For sure.
So, how did this grab you starting off?
Oh, man. So I kind of first listened to it. I was actually playing a flight sim, and it was helping me get into the mood of doing close air support or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it would always like grab you out of whatever you're doing, because oftentimes you'll put music in the background and you kind of just let it play and it kind of melds into the background. But this every like track, I'm like, what is he trying to do with this one? And there are multiple tracks, and I think overall this whole album is like a digitized like chiptunes Top Gun soundtrack.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There is some Top Gun I can hear in the couple songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe this other than Saito must have been a huge fan of 80s pop or disco, because there's a lot of that influence there in it. While it's very good writing, I think he nails the soundtrack pretty well, but I think there's a disconnect somewhere where you don't feel like you should be playing a game while you're listening to it.
Yeah.
The first song I would like to talk about is easily the intro theme.
Yeah.
This is where it all happens, ladies and gentlemen. It all takes off right here. It's complete with the splashy cymbals to bring it in. The song gradually builds to that main theme with a kick drum counting us in as if we're preparing us for a ride, which I think is pretty on the nose.
Apropos. Yeah. And the horns when they come in, man. You just know something's about to happen.
Exactly. In my notes, the bass theme is pretty much the main theme. It starts the song off, you get that groove going, and it plays that way for a couple measures, and then the horns come in with this melody that just screams pop. I half expected Robert Palmer to start singing somewhere. I can just imagine Saito at his keyboard laying down the beat and then slowly adding all these different instruments with this huge grin on his face. Like he had to have been grooving the entire time he wrote this song.
100%. Yeah, the horn progression is just amazing in this. The chorus line is just so punchy, and poppy. It does remind me, this one of the tracks that actually reminds me of like a Top Gun track, and the kind of has the keyboard part of it, like the synth piano, has a lot of soul in it as well, and the solo is just so solid. It does so many things. It's very poppy, but also kind of has that jazz solo. Everyone gets a solo kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's really neat.
I think my favorite section, or not section, but instrument of the song is definitely the horns, because when they come in, it's like they're making a fucking statement. They're very like accentuated, and they're basically the chorus of the song. So, you go through obvious verses with that lead piano / guitar. Yeah, the horns just kind of make these statements that are very intense, especially when you get towards the end. Towards the middle of the song, we get this epic drum breakdown for a break in that general rhythm of the song. He goes nuts on the toms for like 20 seconds, and then boom, we're right back into the main theme. Here comes that lead guitar again. It loops back. It's basically a very simple song, but he adds, like you're saying, those lead moments where it's very in the moment. It's not the same thing every time. He gets going on that lead guitar, and he keeps it interesting.
Yeah, I think it's one of those tracks that you always have these like kind of big band tracks that are really fairly long, because they just allow everyone to have a solo. Like the saxophone player will stand up and do a solo, and then the trombone will do a solo, and it kind of feels like that kind of track where all these little pieces have their own solos. And I think it's probably one of the longer songs. I think it is the longest song in the soundtrack, and it's not just filled with the same old. It's filled with these nice solos that have a lot of soul to them.
Yeah,
it's great.
That is going to launch us into the album. What song would you like to showcase?
I mean, I have a star next to Stage 6, Swear.
Okay.
Because I know we're jumping a little late into it.
Jump around.
But those drums just come in swinging in the song. Just a heavy bass drum, tom. The bass starts filling in with a sick beat. And then the again with the Top Gun reference, but the horn interludes kind of remind me of "Lead Me On" from the
Okay.
Top Gun soundtrack.
Yeah.
And actually, I said like, actually, this whole track kind of reminds me of a more like soulful version of "Lead Me On." You know, you kind of can replace the vocals of Tia Maria, I think is the person who does "Lead Me On," with that keyboard that's up top.
Mhm.
That's kind of like the vocals of this song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just an epic track. You know, it's really hard sometimes to concentrate on one instrument
Mhm.
because there's just so many things happening all at once, but they all kind of do their thing and then they come together. And yeah, it managed to throw in some keyboard solos in there, and it just head bobbing the entire time. It's great.
Yeah, it is a great song, and this is not one of those songs I was talking about where you don't feel like it fits. This one actually does fit a shoot 'em up
Yeah.
game. And I think when those choruses come in and all the instruments come together, I think like it should be, I think that's probably my favorite hook part of the song. It's very elegant. The lead guitar / keyboard solos come in and then the horns bring it together. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a very cool tune.
Yeah, and just how it just kind of leads off a cliff. Like it's a cliffhanger end. I'm like, I want more.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That is a consistent thing with this album. He ends these songs, or they don't loop or fade. They just kind of end.
I'm wondering if they just are meant to loop completely and that's just the way it is, but some of them have an actual ending. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What song besides the intro comes out to you?
I would be remiss to not mention Stage 1, Launch Rayxanber. This is
Gotta launch it.
a phenomenal song. I can't say enough good things about it, and it is indeed the first song I actually heard on the album. It basically, there's a snare roll to get us directly into the song. It's very short, but it just launches you into that main theme. This lead guitar takes over. It's a beautiful and very strong melody. This is the epitome of a space shooter. I visualize any space shooter when I'm listening to this song. So he nails this tune. After the first measure of the verse, we get a quick tom fill, and it brings us into that second half. The fills add a little bit more depth to the song, because up until those drum fills, it's like a wall of sound. And I like how in your face this song is.
It certainly is. Like it has this driving percussion bass line that just starts off, and the synth piano melody is kind of a wistful, like flying through space kind of feel to it. But then the breakdowns are great. Yeah, like you said, this has this kind of offbeat breakdown that breaks up an otherwise speedy singular bass riff for the rest of the song.
Yeah.
It really does split up, the parts of that song up very well, in that it's not the same old bass riff that leads you through the entire song. It gives you a break a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard this song, I was like, okay, if this is what the whole album sounds like, sign me up. Those were my initial thoughts, because
spoiler alert, this is not what the entire album sounds like.
And it's not to say that my dreams were dashed. It's not a bad thing, but at the same time, this song is in a league of its own compared to everything else on this album. So I think there's a crispness and the flow state that you just imagine while you're listening to this song, he must have just been in the fucking pocket when he was writing this thing.
100%.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful song, and what an entrance to this album.
Yeah, that must get your blood pumping when you start the game and you hear that going.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then you play the game, you're like, oh, well.
Am I watching this or pop-up video? What am I?
No offense to the people who developed.
No. No, and that's, to be fair.
I know.
Yeah. Everyone did their job here. It's just... How about you? What's your next song?
I think I gotta have, like, for something that's fairly different than Launch Rayxanber, is Stage 3, Shut Up.
Oh.
Because it's like a hair metal song from, it's an 80s hair metal song. The bass line sounds like it's straight out of a hair metal song. And, even including the da 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 da, that just sounds like something from a hair metal song. It's such a different track to kind of a lot of the other tracks in this, and it has that plodding da 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 bass line that is it's really neat, and it kind of I would imagine that this is a less of a flying through space kind of track. And more of like maybe avoiding asteroids or going slow and plodding kind of track,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super neat.
Yeah, I always got like this image of like a huge spaceship that you're flying inside of or something like that. I can't quite remember what's happening in this level, but this is definitely a darker tone than a lot of the rest of the album. I think this it really takes a change, and it's a nice a slowdown, I would say. I think it does have a really good groove on it.
Yeah, it definitely slows down the tracks, and like I guess now that I'm imagining it, it definitely is like you're inside a ship and try to avoid stuff. Maybe you're sneaking around a little bit. Yeah, it's just a neat bass line. It's kind of an interesting idea of having this kind of hair metal track in the middle of a space shooter.
Yeah.
It's neat.
He was showing a little bit of like a different style with this song too, because I think that metal aspect definitely is a change from the first few songs, and then he chooses to throw in these very synthy I guess you can call them accents. I think that's a really nice accent for the track, and it kind of takes it to a different level too. So
it doesn't have those really long, like, doesn't have the more jazzy type keyboard / guitar of the other songs. It's more of a on the beat, plodding, metal riff.
It's a pretty straightforward song though. I like it.
Yeah.
The next song, I'm so happy to talk about this song. Shake Off. It's stage 4, and I was literally beside myself with happiness and laughter while taking notes on this song, because Saito displays all of his 80s influences here. I think personally more so than anywhere else. In fact, I texted John a couple times about the song, and I ended the conversation with a link to Bonnie Tyler's "Holding Out for a Hero" music video.
Yeah, we need to localize the vocals for that song and just put them on top of this song.
I could not believe what I was hearing. I'm like, this has got to be like his favorite artist of all time. He's dedicating this song in an obscure space shooter to her. The song is great. I mean, absolutely no offense. It's a very synth heavy song. It's got a simple 1-2 kind of doot-dat drum beat the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's very simple. And while the drums are backing this whole thing up, this synth has a very poppy melody. It sounds like the vocals to the song. It's this
Yeah.
track is very much laid out like a traditional song, verse, chorus. We get these sting accents with the drums, horns, and brass kind of all lining up for the task here. And the stings are pretty effective, and they keep the song really fresh, but they're punctuating the moments in the song, that they're separating verse and chorus, interlude, that kind of thing. So they happen at all these key moments, but it just all falls together really nicely. There's a breakdown interlude that gets very quiet for a few moments, and then it crashes back in.
Everything comes back together.
Those accents are there with the chorus. It's not unnatural. I mean, the original song came out in 84, and this game came out in 90. So he's coming off.
It's very well could have been. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I love that he was so dedicated to this style of music, because it's really coming through.
It is 100% an 80s pop song digitized, and like the horn that kind of, like you said, subs in for the vocals, the little trumpet stings is such a classic 80s pop thing of just like keeping the groove going, keeping you in motion. It's such a classic like 80s song, and it's just wicked fun. Like you're smiling the entire time the thing's playing, and they're for sure playing this track at a roller rink near
you. And I do want to point out, this is one of those tracks I was talking about earlier where it just does not feel like you should be playing a game right now. It's because nowhere does this say shoot 'em up to me.
Right.
But I mean, it does keep you in the groove and tapping your foot. That's for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I wonder what the level is for a shake off, because I don't know.
Oh man, I think it's just a traditional space level. Let me check.
I know. I bet it's very disappointing.
It's not as exciting as the song.
Oh, for sure.
What is one more song for you?
One more. I'd have to go with Excursion, Stage 7.
Okay.
The beginning of this has that the bass line through the entire thing has that Earth, Wind, and Fire vibe to it. And the keyboard melody is wicked funky. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love the big like funk bands, that kind of like huge sound, and this kind of has that underlying vibe with a bit of that, the digitized techno feel on top, synth feel on top. The bridges are just sick in this. They just really like pull you back into the song. Mm-hmm. It keeps going and going. It's probably, I think it is the second longest song of the album. And it's also one of those songs that is very big. It's a very big song. And yeah, it's very fun. And it also ends very abruptly. And I want more of it.
This one comes at, actually, I do remember the level for this one. And it's like you're flying through, I guess, a spaceship, but these walls are appearing all around you and you have to like navigate on the fly or you're going to get crushed by something. So it's interesting. But yeah, the song is very big, very exciting. It's a little disco to me. But yeah, I can hear that Earth, Wind, and Fire aspect of it. I like this one too.
And yeah, well, now you described the level, that makes sense. It's kind of chaotic.
Mhm.
There are chaotic parts of it, but there's the bridges are great, and there's horn solos in it that are just awesome. I'm a sucker for a good solo, especially an improv solo.
Right. And they keep it
It's another
fresh.
one of those. Yeah, it definitely keeps the track fresh, because oftentimes you see in video game soundtracks where it kind of just repeats itself.
Yeah.
The song is good. It's good for a minute,
Right.
and then you're like, okay, I'm over it now.
Now we're back.
We played the song, but this is always, every bit of it is just constantly moving. It's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, he does demonstrate quite a bit of excitement in this one. It's fast paced, it's jumpy, and you just kind of you experience the song. It's very fun to listen to. So I'm with you on that. Now, I don't want to linger on the album. We can't play every song, but I did want to point out a drawback for me personally. I'm going to go with the boss theme called Be Mad. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
This one took a nosedive.
It was very same.
It's just, it's got this very sinister melody to it, very up and down with one bass guitar just kind of walking the same notes the entire time. There's I guess you'd call it a lead guitar, a very low lead, or even a gruff horn, that could have
like an oboe. There's an oboe kind of playing through it, I think. Yeah.
And for as bombastic as the rest of this song is, or this album is, wow. He was having an off day on this one.
Yeah.
He did not have much
just
inspiration here.
A lot more out of the way than the other tracks, and maybe it's something to do with you want to concentrate on fighting the boss, so we can't have all these crazy tracks going. But I don't know. I mean, that's just an excuse at that point. I think it could be a miles better, and
more than anything,
for a boss theme too.
I think it's just disappointing. Just when you compare it to everything else, but instead of having that kind of crazy boss theme where it's keeping you on your toes, this one's just kind of plodding along.
Yeah. And
the version I have is 3 minutes long. So it's way too long.
2 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times you find boss battle music is really fast and like has that tense, like chase-like feel to it. Mm-hmm. And like you're like, I gotta get this done.
Yeah, it's almost making you screw up because the music's so intense. But this is just
it's slow. It's putting you to sleep.
Yeah, I can't imagine he was too invested in this song. But
no,
that's part of me just wanting to keep it as objective as possible when we review albums. I think it's important to highlight the fun stuff, but it's also important to kind of gauge everything. So I wanted to point this one out because not everything is fantastic on this album, but what are your final thoughts?
I mean, overall it's despite maybe a couple skippables, it is definitely a banger of an album, and it's something that you can I can find myself playing it over other games that I might be playing, or like Rocket League or something, and just putting it in the background. Or just even just listening to it as is. I mean, it's perfectly a good soundtrack, and the songs. Another thing with video game soundtracks is sometimes the songs are too short or too long, and you can't really enjoy them as songs. They're just kind of better as background music. But I think this one you can definitely enjoy as songs. And special mention of the I love the anime end credits vibe theme that he has for the ending song.
Yeah.
It just sounds like an anime, like, I don't know.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, I guess all in all, I commend him. I know I had a lot to say and kind of poke fun. We had some laughs, when talking about
some goofs.
But it's out of respect. I think this guy is a great composer, and he did such a good job. There's some stuff you could trim, some fat here, but aside from the boss theme, maybe one other song that I would just toss aside. But other than that, fantastic. I think Saito had a blast with this album. What I love about that is that you can feel it. You can hear it in almost every note he wrote for the album. With the powerful percussion and the frequent guitar solos, this guy just, exudes that happiness and style.
Mm-hmm.
Smiling the whole time, and he just knows he's in a groove. He's in a groove state, and he's enjoying everything he's doing. And that's, it's wonderful.
It's obvious that a lot of these tracks were labors of love and happiness, because especially with the ones that had a lot of the soulful like keyboard solos that really one or two of those notes really tear at you, and it's it really shows that in this entire album. I
think I would give this album a 9 out of 10 heroes that I've been holding out for. What would you give it?
I think I'm gonna give it. I would give it 8 out of 8 rays out of 10 Zambers.
Perfect. Well, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could give you a location where you can purchase this, but this has not been released that I know of. You can find it pretty easily just online, but it's worth the listen, if only for the songs we've mentioned. But you'll be in for a surprise for the whole thing. So, that's the episode. And John, if you'd like to say goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.
See ya. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and subscribe on your podcast app of choice. Also, check out Magus Media's other podcast, This Is Not Happening, Another X-Files podcast, for complete episode breakdowns, insightful banter, and inane babble. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Well, hello there, Internet people. My name is Josh, and I am one of the hosts of the Nastagram RPG podcast. We're an actual play RPG podcast, and we're good. And why are we good? Well, let's let the other host tell you. Dan.
Hey, everyone. If you like authentic, real-world sound effects, our lasers go pew-pew.
I love it. Matt.
Skip me. Coming back to Matt.
Ryan.
Okay, so after 2 decades of trying, we finally mastered the 3.5 grapple. We did.
Never mind.
Try again. Scratch that.
Check it out.
Look it up.
John.
If you're looking for a RPG podcast that plays a whole hell of a lot of games, you like to spice the life.
Spice it up.
Spice it up.
Matt, you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. If you enjoy bad accents and overacting, you'll enjoy our podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And Jake, bring us home.
I like to just say, we didn't just throw a phone on the table and hit record. Like, Josh does a damn good job with the editing. And
Facts.
if you care about that, you will not be disappointed.
That's right. We spent a bunch of money that we don't make on the podcast.
100%.
So check us out, Nastagram RPG Podcast. You can find us on all the goddamn podcast apps, and we'll see you there.
That's nasty.